welcome back. I'm Courtney, and this is the Accounting Struggle, where we speak about our struggles with accounting openly and honestly. We do not run from them. In today's video, I'm going to be going over a couple of tips on how to ask for help when you need help at work and you don't know what you're doing and you need to ask for help. There's a particular way that you're supposed to go about doing that. I've learned this over the years, so I wanted to share. So the reason why I wanted to do this video is because with the accounting struggle, this is like an ongoing thing. This is not, I don't feel like I've arrived and now I'm at this place of revelation where I know everything and I have all my answers and life is great. I still have struggles with accounting. I still have things that come up that are challenges that I'm working through, and so I am trying to share this knowledge like in real time. Every time I'm learning something, I'm trying to share that with you guys. So today I'm going to just go over that because I've gotten some advice over the years, some advice that really stuck with me and some things that I've implemented and how I go about asking for help. And it's something that I'm still developing, but I've recently got to put these things to test, to try out, to see how they work, and I feel like they've been working well for me, so I'm going to share those with you today. So the first thing that you have to understand, when you are given a task and you feel like you don't really know where to start or you don't know what you're doing fully, you're not super comfortable with it, and you feel challenged by that or super stretched and it's just very stressful and you feel like you don't know how to do your job for whatever that task is, or maybe you don't feel like you know how to do all of it, you don't understand why they chose you. So whenever that happens, you really just have to go back to and remind yourself that you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Accounting, much like other fields, is an ever-changing thing. It's not something that is, this is what accounting is and that's just it. It develops, it evolves over time, and so you always will have something to learn. And in any job that you're in, especially in a professional role, if you get to a point where you can do your job in your sleep and you can do this job with your eyes closed, then you probably are ready for a promotion. The work is just not challenging enough. You should never really get to that place in any role. You should be at a place where you're always finding new things, new ways to be challenged. So when you come across that, just remind yourself of, okay, I definitely need to just recognize that I'm gonna have to learn some things. Not everything is gonna be something that I just instantly know how to do, and that's fine. So step one is, of course, just thinking about what it is you do understand. So if you're given a task or a project that you're working on and there's a lot of stuff in it that you just don't understand, you don't know what to do, the first thing you should be thinking about is what you do know and what you do understand about it. So that way you can work through where your issues are and figure out what knowledge you have that is going to contribute to solving some of your problems, and then you can kind of do an assessment to figure out what you don't know and where you should go from there. So just figure out, break down your project and look at all the parts and say like, okay, this is where I understand all of this, but I'm getting stuck right here. So just read through it, think through it, and just kind of figure out exactly what it is you do fully understand. Explain it out loud if you need to, but just get to a place where you have a clear understanding of the parts that you feel good about. Next, you want to think about where you're getting lost. So this is really important because I've worked on many things where I didn't even know where I was lost. I was just like, I don't know none of this. I don't know how I got here. I don't know who told you that I was the person to do this, but this is not for me. So you definitely can't get help if you don't know what you need help with. You need to be able to explain where you're lost and why you're confused. So like, imagine you're driving down the road. This was before like GPS, and you have to stop and ask someone for directions. They're probably going to ask you, where are you trying to go? If you can't answer that, they can't help you find your way. So it's the same kind of thing with asking for help. At work, if you don't know where you're getting stuck, or if you don't know particularly where you need help or what it is you're confused about, if you're just like, I don't know, I don't understand any of it, then no one's going to be able to help you. And I definitely get that feeling because I used to do that in school a lot. Like, I don't know, I don't understand any of it. I'm just so lost. But nobody can help you when that's your approach. So you really have to be very specific and understand exactly where you're getting stuck. So if you're looking at an assignment or you're working through a project, you want to just trace all the way through the part where you're like, okay, now I don't know what to do. I've done X, Y, and Z. I'm at this place, and now I really don't know where to go from here. So once you get there and you stop and you think, okay, I understand what we did last year. I'm looking at that part makes sense to me. I get that. And then right here we did this journal entry, and I don't understand why we needed to do that. If I'm just using that as an example, if you're stuck there, now start to think about what else you do know already, what other knowledge, what other information are you privy to that might contribute to helping you get a step further. So maybe you're like, okay, I don't understand why we did this journal entry, but let me look at some of these other work papers from last year that had details about this. Maybe that will help me either eliminate some of the things that I think might be the answer, or help me get a step closer to what the answer is. Because you're basically at this point trying to either find, you're trying to think about what you feel like you have an idea about what the answer might be or what the issue might be that's causing you to get stuck. So from there, if you start to eliminate some stuff that's definitely not it, that will help you get closer to your answer. So you just want to be thinking about, and you obviously should be using resources like looking over whatever information is available to you. So you should really be thinking about, okay, I have this thing that I think it's this. I think that this is related to my issue. I don't really know for sure, but I feel like this number has something to do with why my retained earnings won't roll or something like that. So if you're there and now you're thinking, okay, I think it's this, ask yourself if that makes sense based on everything else you know. So all of the other information that you have available to you, does that answer make sense? If it does, then you might be on track. That might be the correct answer or part of your problem. If it makes no sense and you're like, there's no way that this is the reason for that, then that's probably not your answer. You can go ahead and eliminate that and take that off of the table and move on to finding something else that might be your answer. You don't want to spend forever on this, but this is something that you want to spend a couple of minutes thinking through before you go and ask for help. So by now you've worked through a couple of different steps and you've isolated exactly what your issues are. If it's multiple issues, you have them kind of categorized, you know exactly what the problem is, and now you have some ideas about what you think it might be, but you don't have the clarity. You have an idea, you know this number is related, but you don't exactly know why. Now it's time for you to ask for help. So you want to start thinking about who is the best person to ask for help. It can be easy to want to go to the person who's nice, who makes you feel warm and fuzzy, who you know is not going to give you a lashing for asking any questions. That's like the person you would want to go to first. But if that person is not working on this project and they have no idea, and you would have to spend so much time filling them in just to get them to give you some information that isn't probably that useful, don't ask them. Don't stop and accost them with your issues and your needing help if they're not someone who can help you with what this problem is. You really want to be thinking about who is the person that is best equipped to answer or help me with this, even if it's not someone who will make you feel warm and fuzzy inside. So maybe the person is the project manager or the engagement manager on this. Maybe it's your boss, or maybe it's a partner, and that can seem very intimidating and very scary. But you have to overcome that if they are the closest, if they're the key to getting through to the other side, which is solving this and being done with it, then that's who you have to talk to about it. So go to them with your questions, but don't go one by one like, oh, I have a question about this, oh, I have a question about that. You want to get to a place where you've gathered all of your questions that you have with this assignment or project, and maybe set up some time with them, ask them if they have a few minutes to go over it. What I usually do is I'll summarize in an email what I've been working on, my progress, where I am with the assignment, and then say, please let me know when you have a minute to discuss. I love saying that, because at that point, they'll be able to stop and really give you the full attention that you need if they're, of course, willing to stop and help you, which they should be. So when you're emailing them, or if you're going to be discussing it with them in person, there's a few things that you should include in this discussion. So usually I like to start with an update. So if I've been working on this project for a while now, I'll let them know, or if this is our second draft, our second meeting, I will kind of give them an update of what I've been working on, how far I've gotten, and where I got stuck. So I'll take them through the process, brief summary now. I'll just briefly update them on, okay, so I've gotten this updated, I did X, Y, and Z. Here's where I'm getting stuck though. I have this issue where this number isn't tying out to this. Here's what I think the issue is. So you always want to propose what you think it is. Don't grab a random answer out of the sky. Of course, we already walked through how you should get to this point. If you have something to suggest or some sort of proposal on what you think is a solution to your problem, that will help you. Even if you're not correct, that will help the other person who is assisting you in navigating to the correct answer. So even if your answer is wrong, that might get them thinking something that is similar, and they're like, oh, I hadn't considered that. Yes, that person actually sold a bunch of equipment this year and they didn't record it. I talked to them on the phone earlier, and that is why your balance is different than what you expected for your PP&E. I don't know, that was a random example, but those are the types of things that you want to be getting to. So you want to be getting to the bottom line of what your issue is, and they might have information that you're not privy to. So if you're bringing something to them, some sort of proposal of what you think the issue is, that can either help them go in the correct direction, or you might actually be right about what you think the answer is. So never just go empty-handed like, I don't know how to do this, because then that's gonna make you come across as though you didn't give it any thought, even though you might really have some ideas about what you think it is and you're just afraid to say it. Don't do that, because you could be a lot closer to the correct answer than you realize. So just don't go. So now that you've updated them on the progress that you've made, and you guys have kind of brainstormed on what you think the issue is, and you've come to some sort of consensus, and you're like, okay, I think it's this, why don't you try this? There's usually two things could happen. They could either have a definite answer for you, or they could have a counter proposal, and they could say, oh, not sure, why don't you check this and see if it's that, and try that and let me know if that works. So if that's the case, you want to, next step would be to plan. So discuss with them what your exact marching orders are. What are your next steps? So if the plan is that you're going to try this one thing that they propose, and then you're going to see how that works, just summarize that just to make sure you're clear, so that I understand. You're saying I should try plugging this number, and saying you probably shouldn't be plugging stuff, but you're saying that I should try this number, take a look at this, and see if that works, and if not, then we can go from there. Is that correct? So you just want to make sure that you're clear on what the instructions are, or what the next steps are. So after you've planned out your next steps, go ahead and execute those. If you need to come back with more questions, feel free to do that. Just make sure you use these steps, and you're not just wandering into someone's office and saying, oh my God, I don't know how to do this, I need help. Even if that's what you're thinking, there's a lot more that you know that you're not taking the time to stop and think about. So just walk through these steps. This is how I kind of process my thoughts, and this is how I go and ask for help, or at least I try to do this. I may have not done that every single time. So if you've ever worked with me and you're watching this and you're thinking, she's lying, I'm not. This is what I try to do, especially when I'm working on something like a big project and I'm really, really confused or having issues. These are the steps that I've been taking, and it's worked well for me. So I wanted to share those, but if you have some other ways that you go about asking for help, or if anything that you maybe want to add that I did not mention, please feel free to leave a comment, and I would love to hear your perspective on it. But yeah, those are the things that I'm doing now, and that's how it's working for me. It's important that you don't lose confidence as you're having to ask for help, because of course that is a normal part of learning, And if you could do the whole entire thing by yourself, then you'd be the only person in the company. They wouldn't need to have all the other pieces of the company. So that's why everybody's there. So don't feel like you can't utilize those resources. They're there for a reason. Even if people don't always make you feel warm and fuzzy when you ask them questions, you might still be able to really learn a lot from those people who are kind of mean or not as welcoming, or who let you know that you're getting on their nerves. So don't be shy. Don't shy away from asking questions. That's part of the learning process. So yeah, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video to be helpful, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you have not already, do subscribe. We'd love to have you here. I make videos on, well, I release them on Wednesdays. And I might throw in an extra day going forward. I don't know. I'm still flirting with that idea. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.